Hello everyone. If you've been following my Instagram, which you should probably do, link in the description, or you can search up Kingsley_11 on Instagram, then you should know I used to make Pokemon designs for my own region based on Norway. This region was called the Yeron region. Now, I was very new to digital art at the time, and frankly, it shows. So I decided to redesign them, maybe even make a few new Pokemon in the process. So, let's get started with the starter, shall we? Now, if you didn't know, every starter has a certain theme amongst each other. An example would be the Kala starters, which are based on role-playing classes, specifically the Rogue, the Mage, and the Knight. So what will my starter theme be? Well, I decided to base it on the residents of the World Tree. Specifically, I will use a dragon who lives by the bottom of the tree near the roots, the eagle who lives on the branches of the tree, and the squirrel who runs around the trunk, popularly known as Ratajesta. So, let's start from the ground up with the Fire-type starter. Yes, that was a pun? Yes, you'll see why. The Fire-type starter will be based on a dragon in the bottom of the World Tree named Nihilgr. And some of you may know that the Fire-type starters actually respond to the Chinese zodiac. And the most dragon-like out of all of them, that isn't already taken, will be the snake. I started by making the body similar to a worm, and made the head bigger to look more cute and similar to the Galar starters. I made the eyes similar to the Kanto starters and added patterns on the back inspired by the coral snake. And finally, I made a little scarf made of shedded skin, because, well, it's a snake. And I made it shoot a little small flame that looks like a snake tongue. Nicrackle, the fire skin Pokemon. Fire type. Nicrackle enjoys sunbathing near tree roots. When it stores too much heat, it releases it through its mouth. The next stage evolution will look more Cobra-like, and have a fire-crackling tail that looks like a rattlesnake's tail. It's gonna have a bit of a teenage crisis. Most second stage Pokemon, like Drizzle and Charmeleon, look like awkward teenagers. So I made it so that it couldn't use its flame properly. So I started by making the general shape of a cobra, then turned a little scarf into a cobra hood. I added some fire patterns onto the hood that also resemble eyes, as well as more jagged patterns onto the body to make it look like a spiny bush viper. Finally, I added a glowing rattle to resemble flames. Nihire, the fire crackle Pokemon. Fire ground type. Nihire can't control its own flames, so it defends itself with its tail, which makes a loud firecracker noise to scare off its enemies. Finally, the final stage evolution. The Pokemon will be based on a red spitting cobra, and a bit more dragon serpent-like. And it's gonna be partly buried, as a subtle reference to the half-albino pythons. I made the hood a lot more expanded, as well as a longer body. I made the rattle tail look more like the tail of a Chinese dragon, and gave a cool face pattern onto the hood. And if it was a 3D model, it would actually be a constant fire animation. I put a little dirt armor onto it to really show that it's a ground type. And I added a bit of mud splatters to make the body look like a half-albino python. Netholgr, the fire-based Pokemon. Fire ground type. Netholgr digs itself into the ground and waits for an opportunity to shoot its flames out of its hood and tail, which can burn a whole tree within seconds. Now let's move up the tree to the most popular of these characters, Ratajesta. Ratajesta acts as the messenger for the dragon and eagle, but he has a bit of a mischievous personality. He delivers false messages for the dragon and eagle to make them fight each other. So I'm gonna make this line part ghost type, as a reference to his mischievous nature. I made the general body of a mouse, and made the hands without fur to look like Raticate. I added a leaf onto its tail to show that it's a grass type, as well as some ghostly patterns onto the fur. I even made the headpiece look like a ghost face. Wiltatoski, the spirit leaf Pokemon, grass ghost type. Wiltatoski enjoys climbing up trees and putting its tail out to collect sunlight. Its purple patches can produce illusions to distract its enemies. Its evolution will look more bigger and less baby-like. Its tail will now be withered away and have a ghostly aura replacing it. It's going to be a bit of a prankster as a reference to the teenage phase, as well as the personality of Ratajesta. I made its body a lot bigger and taller. I added a leaf on its head to still show it's a grass type, and even added a mask to look like a crook or a jester. Its tail will now be withered away, replaced with a ghostly wind, and if it was a 3D model, the leaves in the tornado would be spiraling.
Mitoskr, the Ghost Tail Pokemon, Grass Ghost type. Mitoskr enjoys playing pranks on other Pokemon. When others inhale its ghostly aura in its tail, it will see illusions.
Finally, the final stage evolution. It'll be based on a jester who likes playing tricks on people, as well as a bandit, so I'm gonna give it a mask that resembles a black-footed ferret's mask. I made the body look sort of like a weasel or a ferret, and added a leaf collar to resemble a jester. I made the tail a lot more bushier and experimented with the colors of the leaves. I ended up going with a yellowish-green look.
Ratajesta, the Trickster Pokemon, Grass Ghost type. Ratajesta produces smoke that causes illusions to those who inhale it. It uses this to steal nuts and cause others to fight.
Finally, we have the water type starter. It's gonna be based on the eagle on the top of the tree, except it's not gonna be an eagle. Since it's a water type, I based it more on aquatic birds. Specifically for the first stage starter, I based it on a puffin. I made the body more cutesy to show that it's a first stage starter. I also had it show its wing to reveal some shells that it collects, kinda like the birds who like collecting shiny things. I also made the pattern on its belly look like raindrops to show that it's a water type Pokemon, and added some blue feathers.
Puffic, the Collector Pokemon, Water type. Puffic collects shells by the beach and it holds onto them in the pouch on its wing.
The next evolution will be based more on a fortune teller, with its shells amplifying its fortune-telling ability, kinda like the crystals that people try and scam you with. I made the body more bulky and the headpiece in the back of its head more longer. I made the legs more longer as well to resemble a stork, as well as more shells and psychic abilities coming out through its feathers. I even added a shell onto its head to resemble a third eye.
Siphon, the Fortune Pokemon, Water Psychic type. Siphon uses the shell on its wings to power its psychic moves. Sometimes it hoards too much, and they are too heavy to fly.
The final evolution will be a full-on crane this time. It's gonna have stronger psychic powers, and I even based it a bit on an Anodite from Ben 10. Okay, for this design, I had a lot of trouble for it. This was actually my favorite design out of the three in the original drawing. But I don't know why, but I struggled a lot with the posing for this, as you can see. Eventually I did settle on one, and even then I'm still a little iffy on it. I made the wings a lot more bigger, as well as more energy feathers. I gave it the generic body of a stork, as well as the actual gem piece on its head instead of a shell. I added some feather patterns around the neck to make it resemble a necklace, and of course a lot more shells.
Proffednir, the Prophecy Pokemon, Water Psychic type. Proffednir can see into the future, and the more shell it has, the farther into the future they can see. Proffednir will sometimes trade shells for berries.
And those are all my starters redesigned. Tell me which one is your favorite in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this, like and subscribe. And I'll see you all in the next video.